Hey everybody, it's Julie. Thanks for joining me today for a Bible journaling process video using the September Faith Art Box from Creative Retreat Kits. And this is just a quick overview of the kit. The title is Perfect Strength, and we are in 2 Corinthians chapter 12, verses 1 through 10. It's got some great reflection questions. Look at this devotional card backing. I love that. I love these colors. It's got the standard word fetty and the wonky hearts, which are a little bit more wonky this time, and the title stickers. These alpha tile stickers are hexies this time, and these colors are just so creamy and dreamy. And then the bow clippy is, we get one this time because it's bigger and stout. And then the stamp set has some great words. It's got strength, perfect, weakness, and then these other words, and then a couple of border type stamps, these images. And you can see here how those border stamps just were used in that title card. So we're going to go ahead and get started. We are here in 2 Corinthians, and today is my 23rd anniversary. So I am documenting my anniversary and how God has made my relationship strong with my husband. After 23 years, we've been through a whole lot. We certainly have our weaknesses, but God has made us strong. So this particular passage is just so powerful, and the devotional this month is very powerful. It was written by Danielle. What I'm starting off here is I'm using the stencil from the Stencil Sept by Creative Retreat, and I'm using the hearts. And since this page is documenting my anniversary, I thought the hearts were appropriate. So I'm using the Spun Sugar Distress Oxide ink, and the ink that I had remaining on my stencil, I just spritzed that and then smushed it on my page. It's very faint, so you can hardly see that here on the video, but it just gives a faint smushing effect here. And I don't like to waste the ink. I always tend to do that. Now I'm using one of the images from the stamp set. This is the spray image, and it's got some florals. It's kind of a floral spray, and I'm using cracked pistachio color Distress Oxide ink, and I'm stamping that along the margin. Now I'm coming in with Tumbled Glass. This is another Distress Oxide. These are my newest favorite inks because they're so versatile. There are also some great colors that match this kit in the Creative Retreat shop. Some chalk ink pads, which are wonderful. The angelic pink, the mint color, just some really good colors. So here's a picture that I have picked of my husband and me, and the dress in my picture really matches the bow clippy that we're going to be using. So here's one of the Creative Retreat ink pads. This one's called Quiet Yellow. Now this is a chalk ink, and you can see it does stain the stamp, but it's not a problem. It still works. So I went ahead and cut out that image that I stamped, and I'm going to use that along my picture. Now I'm going to add some color here on my page. I want to mimic that circular pattern. I don't have a marker that matches this color, so I'm just using my aqua brush and this ink, and I'm just doing some swirly patterns. Now this color again is very faint, so you can hardly see it here. It gives just a subtle background. If I had a marker, that would be a little more effective and you could see it a little bit better, but it gives the effect that I'm looking for. And again, I just take that ink that is remaining on the package and I smush that. So I just took my ink pad and smushed it on the clear packaging, just some extra that I used, and I just smushed it on there. Now I'm doing the same thing with this, the chalk ink pad from Creative Retreat, but it's going to act differently. Now I can pick this up and color with it using my aqua brush, but in a moment you'll see I'm going to try to do that same smushing effect, and it's not going to work because chalk ink pads are water resistant. They are waterproof, whereas the Distress Oxides, you can see it doesn't blend, it doesn't react with the water because they are waterproof, whereas the Distress Oxides, they react with water. So I'm just getting some of the colors now in this little spray. I want to add some of that color. So I'm taking some gray cardstock to give a backing that picks up the gray in my husband's suit. My husband's name is Brad. Isn't he a handsome guy? And this color here that I'm using, the colors I'm using are cracked pistachio, tumbled glass, spun sugar, and then this was stormy sky. Now, because I'm not wanting a lot of that ink to just get this color in here, I'm just squeezing the top of my ink pad, and that's going to get just a little pool of color into the top. So I just kind of squish it, and then that gets a little bit of the ink into the top of the pad. So I trimmed off a 2-inch, well, it's about a 2.5-inch piece of the devotional backing so that I can use that in my margin here, and I'm going to use that to back my picture. I'm sponging the edge of that with the spun sugar, and then I'm going to come in and sponge my little border piece. I'm going to sponge my page. I'm just going to talk a little bit about this verse. This passage and what the whole devotional is about God's strength and our weaknesses. And when we recognize our weakness and when we submit and surrender our weaknesses to God, that's when He's able to use us. That's when He's able to make us strong. When He can complete us, when He can use us. And when you're considering marriage, now my husband and I have been married for 23 years. We've gone through some really tough times. But because of those weaknesses and those trials and the tribulations, we've been stronger. But it's not because of us. It's because we've surrendered our marriage to Him, and we've surrendered and committed our personal lives to God. Unless we do that, unless we commit our weaknesses and our marriage to God, He can't grow us. Because in and of ourselves, with our weaknesses, with our sinful natures, we're just going to be selfish, and we're going to only consider ourselves. But because we surrender, now granted, it doesn't happen every day, and sometimes we're a big mess. But when we are committing ourselves to Christ, and when we surrender our lives individually and our marriage to Him, that's when He can make us strong. And that's in Him we are strong, and in Him we have perfect strength. So 23 years, guys, that's a long time, and I'm just so grateful for my husband. I'm so grateful for the way God has brought us together and what He's done for us and through us. So I wanted to document that here in my Bible, and I thought this passage was just perfect because a marriage is a representation of the relationship that God has with His people, with His church. So the way that we can redeem each other is the way that God redeems us. It's a perfect picture of that. So now I've got my background on the page here, and now I'm going to fiddle-faddle with some of the stickers and put these on here. What I end up doing is, in you we are made strong. And I just play around with the different images, the hearts, the leaves, and some of the background things. And then I'm going to add the alpha tiles at the bottom to spell out God plus Brad plus Julie. Because that's what it is. It's not Brad and Julie. It's not husband and wife. It's got to be God plus the two of us. That's the only way we can survive. That's the only way a marriage can work. Oh, 23 years, it's a long time, but it just keeps getting better when we commit to God. So I did some splatter painting using, again, the Distress Oxides. I did add some black just to give it a little more contrast. Sometimes just all the colors, it needs that black to anchor it. And you'll see I'm going to come in and add some outlines on these stickers, and that just really does help to highlight them and bring it out. It's a nice little tip. It's easy to do, but it really does add a lot to the page. So I'm going to make a tip in with my picture here, and I'm going to be able to add some private little journaling behind that. My husband and I, and you can read about it in my blog post that I will have linked. I will have all the products linked that I've used, and that's over on the Creative Retreat blog site. And I share a little bit about some of the things that we've gone through, and because of all those things, we are stronger. The trials help us to depend not on ourselves, but on God and on each other. So that's what's made us stronger. So I do a little bit of that private journaling here, and that's going to be pretty much it. I add a little bit of washi tape, and I add my bow clippy up at the top. So this kit is just wonderful this month. The theme of God's perfect strength and our weaknesses, and how it's a perfect combination. I really encourage you to pick it up, and I do have that linked in the description box below. Leave any comments or questions that you have. I do encourage you to journal pictures in your Bible. It's a great place to document special memories, special people, special events, because as you go through and look, and as your family or friends go through back and look at your Bible, it really does personalize it. It makes it more special, and the legacy that you leave with your Bible and with your testimony is just all the more powerful and all the more special when you include some of these pictures in there. So there's the page. I have some close-up shots here, and if you have any questions, again, just leave them in the comments section. Be sure to check out the blog post and check out the blogs that will be coming this month to see what other ladies have done on the design team with this kit. And be sure to pick up your kit this month. It's awesome. And subscribe to this channel if you haven't already. Give it a thumbs up if it inspired you and if you liked it. Thanks so much for joining me. Bye-bye.